and welcome to this latest edition of the AM News Show podcast. I'm delighted today to be joined by Jeremy Evans, the Chief Executive of Marketing Delivery. And he's going to talk to us about some of the things that are in store at AM Live, and then we're going to talk more broadly about some of the news, the kind of big news that's going on in the industry at the moment. So just touching on AM Live, really, Jeremy, we're only a few weeks away now. What kind of attracts you to the event? How important is the show to Marketing Delivery?
It's the culmination of a year's worth of PR and marketing for us, really. Everything we speak about throughout the course of the year and everything, all the features that we get involved with, AM Live is where we bring all that together this year with some dealer involvement as well, to just talk about the things that we've been seeing and understanding throughout the course of the year. So for us, it's a chance to bring all that together, all that content together in front of lots of existing clients actually come and see us at the stand. So it's a good way of catching up with people. But obviously it's a marketing exercise, so we want to get in front of new people, dealers and manufacturers. Again, it's a great way of getting a load of people in a room together to come and find out a little bit more about who we are, what we do, what we see, what we understand. And that gives us our kind of prospect list, if you like, for the next 6 months.
Fantastic. And I think that's something we've learned over the years from suppliers. Actually, a lot of existing clients do come along and make appointments, make time to catch up with you.
Yeah, we see that a lot. It always amuses me when I give my talks at AM Live that I see existing clients sat in the audience, and I think you should know this because we talk to you about this all the time. But I think they quite enjoy not only us but other suppliers that they work with. It's a good chance to catch up with people, and although they see their account managers from Marketing Delivery, they don't all see me very often, and it's a great. I enjoy talking to our clients and just understanding what's happening from their perspective and the way they're seeing things go and getting their feedback on our team. But also that's where we get our little insights into what's important to them. Okay. What are they at AM Live to see, to find out, to understand, because that gives us little ideas about maybe where our product development should go. If we know, if 2 or 3 clients tell us they're looking for the same thing, then we can go and have a look as well and see if it's something that we can help them with. So it's good to get that information from existing clients as well as present what we do to potential new ones. Absolutely.
And I guess over the years, as a business, you've grown. What's the scale of Marketing Delivery now? And people will have noticed. You were saying earlier before we started this recording that you're having a stand built this year.
Yes, we are. Yeah, first time with a big boy stand. So yeah, same location as last time, but rather than an ever-growing pop-up banner, which we've lived with for the last few years, and just keep adding panels to it and making it bigger. We've bitten the bullet. We've got a stand being built for us this time. We're approaching 500 dealers now, which is the biggest we've ever been. We just finished our financial year, and it's our best year ever by a decent chunk. So yeah, we are growing. We are speaking to more dealer groups, I think, in terms of that pipeline than we have for a long time. We've been to AM Live. I think every year AM Live's been on. We've been there, and as I said, our little pop-up banners have got bigger and bigger as the year's gone on. But now we've had to kind of step up I guess we're a bigger company than we've been before, and it's only right that we represent ourselves in that way at AM Live.
Absolutely. So what can people expect if they wander onto your stand?
So as well as showing our product suite, which we're very proud of because it's all around software. We're talking to our current dealers, and one of them will be up with myself and Charlotte up on stage talking about some of the things that have changed in dealer marketing since the adoption of agency models, and how that has impacted the way dealers have gone to market, where they see opportunity, where they see doing things differently, what changes it's meant to their business model, and from us as their kind of suppliers / partners, how they've lent on us to help them with that. So lots about data, as there always is whenever we go and talk, because it's the key to it all, really, joining all those data dots. I must have said that phrase every year at AM Live, I think, as well, for all the years we've been there, and it's more relevant than ever. Understanding the landscape, so that social media landscape, how all that works. As you know, we do quite a lot of work with Facebook and Instagram, and a few years ago, Anita, when she was at Facebook, was
Yes.
up on stage there talking with us about that. So it just we're exploring how that has evolved over the last year or 18 months or so, and certainly how agency has encouraged a little bit of change to some of that, and where the opportunities now lie.
Okay, because on the data issue, have you seen that more and more dealers are expert at it now? Is there still some way to go? I remember conversations with you in the past, and certainly I think a lot of companies weren't really properly valuing the data that they had and the cleanliness of it.
Yeah, I think there's a much bigger recognition of the importance of the data, whether the expertise levels are there yet or not, but there is a recognition how important it is. And things like database cleansing is something that people have talked about in the past but not really done it an awful lot, and we're doing a lot more of that at the moment with clients than we have done before. To be fair, the technology makes it easier, so rather than give people a load of data back that they have to manually input, that can all be now done by APIs and automated. So there are easier ways of making data work better now than ever before. So most of the main data suppliers and providers out there have got far better connectivity than there has been before. So it's easier for dealers to do it because they don't have to do it. If you forget what I mean, they have to understand its importance and understand where it sits in having a budget to pay for it, but actually the technology can do it for them. They don't have to have people sat there doing it. We did an exercise fairly recently for a Mercedes-Benz vans dealer that I think we worked out would have taken one person a whole year's worth of work to manually update all the records, and I think the API connectivity meant it was pumped through in about 4 nights.
Right.
So it's the technology is easier to do that now. So the recognition, I think ultimately the recognition's always been there that data's important, but the ability to do it and do it well has maybe not been there, and it's getting better.
I guess I'm thinking back to a conversation with an AM100 group quite a few years ago now, but he was saying about trying to drum into the staff on the showroom floor the importance of the accurate data capture, and examples of like them filling in the email boxes bob.smith@hotmail.com or whatever, just to tick a box. Showroom systems and that are being used now probably ensuring that accuracy, I guess, or at least that data is being captured properly.
I guess there's nowhere to hide now. I remember the days of walking into a service department and asking them why they didn't capture email addresses, and they said, well, there's nowhere to put it. And when we look at the job card, there wasn't an email box on the job card.
Right.
So those days, thankfully, are gone, and there's nowhere to hide. So if you do make up an email address, it bounces, it goes on a report, and it shows with your name next to it. Either through the DMS and LMS systems or through our reporting systems, any inaccuracies get reported instantly and get fed back instantly. So and we've seen it all. We still see it now when we put a new client on. We still see that salesman who thinks he can get away with Donald@duck.com or Mickey@Disney.com, or putting his own email address in, and wondering why then his name appears on a report. So we still see it, not as much as we used to, but there's nowhere to hide now for data inaccuracy. The reporting is far better than ever before, and because the data drives the activity.
Do you think the digital skills within many dealer groups now are vastly higher than they would have been even maybe 5 years ago? Yeah,
I think COVID forced that because the only way to interact with customers was digitally for a while. A sales executive has to be digitally competent now because we're not going back to the days of people not wanting emails and not wanting text messages and not interacting with social media. They do, and it's part of the sales process now. To be digitally competent is part of that process, and same with after sales. When you're following up health checks with an email or a text message with a video in it, the ability to capture that information correctly so that the customer can understand it and then respond to it when the customer comes back. It's not an option now really for a modern dealership. So I think COVID kind of forced a lot of that on the industry. And even though customers now do have a choice of whether they interact digitally or physically, it's now a blend, far more of a blend than ever. But it did force the issue, really, and meant that things needed to change quickly. So we went through a decade of things changing like an oil tanker to all of a sudden we changed like a speedboat, and it's stuck, so which is good to see.
I remember probably 15 years ago a dealer telling me we don't need a website. What do we need one of those for?
I remember saying no, we don't. We can't put prices in our emails because our internet prices are different to our showroom prices.
Right.
So we can't put prices in because we don't want the customer to. We want them to come into the showroom and pay that price for it.
Yeah.
So, and that wasn't too many years ago.
Wow, blimey.
Yeah. I won't say who it is.
No, please don't. No. We'd have to edit that out.
Yeah.
Is there more pressure on suppliers now as well from the expectations of dealer groups? Do they look to you to help bring those staff up to speed and kind of that upskilling, the training necessary?
Yeah, I think certainly the we're known for the activity that we generate, the emails, the text, the social media, but actually as important is the reporting and data insight that we give, because that develops data quality, gives dealers the understanding of what they need to capture and why. And part of our onboarding process is our account managers will spend time with the dealerships, with the sales managers and service managers, explaining what data is required and why. And I think once people understand what the data is going to be used for and why it's important, then it's almost a switch gets flicked and away they go. It's collecting an email address for the sake of collecting an email address. Why bother? Well, because we're going to help you sell more cars, because we're going to keep in touch with the customer and keep sending them updates to your used car stock that you can't do yourself because there's not enough of you salespeople to keep up with the inquiries, and you've got more dealerships in a lot of consolidation in the industry, so a lot more dealer groups, a lot more dealer stock available. There's no way a single sales exec can keep on top of all of that for all the open inquiries. So if they understand that all you got to do is get the email address and keep the record up to date, and the tech will do the rest for you, and it will help you sell more cars and earn more commission. There's no better way of getting a sales exec to improve data quality than telling them it'll help them sell more cars.
And in terms of allowing it, kind of picking up on those kind of the buying signals and the I know we've talked before about the importance of communication at the right time, the right communication at the right time. Yeah. That must be much easier now than it would have been historically when a salesman was completely in the dark as to what the customer has done before they've walked in the showroom.
Yes. Yeah, it's easier now, and customers are more responsive now as well. So again, since COVID, email open rates have risen, engagement, click-through rates have risen. So customers are more digitally active and aware, as well as sales teams and service teams being more competent with it as well, and the tech allows you to then manage the follow-up process. You can call it AI, you can call it machine learning, you can call it algorithmic, whichever buzzword you want to apply to it. It all comes down to what action does the customer take, dictating what action the dealership tech contact process takes next. So most of the actions that we generate, there are 3 or 4 follow-up actions that could happen depending on what the customer does next. And that's something, again, that's developed over time and is continuing to develop at a pace. We're looking at some data at the minute which suggests about 10-15% of people that come into a dealership buy a different model than the one they inquired upon. So again, how do we use the tech to change that? If we pick up some signals that the customer may be interested in a different model, how do we reserve different models to them? So there's always something next coming along that the data says, look at this, and we go, what can we do with that, and how can we and again, typically a sales exec may not know that somebody who originally came in looking for a Fiesta is now looking at a Puma. But if we've spotted something about their activity that suggests they may be open to the idea of a Puma, maybe we can do something with that and present them with Puma instead of Fiesta, or as well as.
That's really interesting, because the industry talks a lot about now the customer's pretty much made up their mind by the time they're at that point. But actually there are anomalies to that then. There are still perhaps 10-20% of customers who might have come in with their heart set on something but then get taken in a different direction. Yeah,
sometimes they simply didn't realise that car was suitable for them, and once they do the physical visit to the dealership, sit in one and go, oh, okay, actually, yeah, maybe. Or they've spent a while trying to find the right car at the right price for them and can't find it, that they then maybe would look a little bit wider. And again, you wouldn't necessarily know that unless you've got that communication flow with the customer. Like I say, the analysis we're doing at the minute is to trying to derive what those models of interest are going to be, or also trying to put it back into the consumer's hands and say, you tell us. You change your preferences. If you originally were looking for a Fiesta and you're looking for something different now, you tell us. Or if they show any signs of clicking on a different model or a different brand, for lots of multi-brand dealer groups, then maybe we can kind of reserve them some content that's a bit different.
Yeah.
So there's always something on the horizon in this industry, isn't it? There's always something changing.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that, in a way, that must be quite heartening to some in the industry. There's a lot of anxiety about what AI and machine learning is going to bring. There's occasional kind of headlines around kind of, is the salesman under threat? Are salespeople becoming order takers effectively because the customer has made up their mind? But actually, we're then showing that there is a reinforcement of their role still.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, in having that customer engagement and helping the customer pick the right car.
And the AI, the algorithms can tell the dealership what's changed about that customer as well, which I get because the customer doesn't do as many visits to the dealership physically as they used to, and they do a lot more of their research online before they get to the dealership. If we can tell the dealer, actually, this customer has looked at this car on your website now, go and have a chat with them, or the customer has, clicked on something else. This is what they're looking at now. Then it gives the dealership more clues to interact with. Customers who are in a inquiry cycle will still be happy to speak to somebody at the dealership just as much as they'll be happy to engage with an email or a social media piece of activity. But if we can use some intelligence from the tech to feed back into that, to tell the customer has opened this email, has clicked on that section in the email, has clicked on that car in the email, has done something that we can inform you about. It means that the people in the dealership are better armed, I guess, to then have that follow up, rather than the follow up being, have you had any thoughts? The follow up can be, have you thought about a Puma? Knowing full well that they've just clicked on something that said, have a look at our stock of Puma. Yeah.
What's your thought? Changing tack slightly, but what's your thought along the brands that we're about to see enter the UK, or a couple are here already?
Yep.
A lot more coming in, and obviously they're going to have to work quite quickly on their brand awareness.
Yep.
But they do have quite strong ambitions from what they're telling us. Is technology and the role of the showroom going to play? Which is going to play the bigger part, I guess, really, in kind of helping those brands get in front of customers?
I think a bit of both. I think online awareness is obviously a key to it, but also if you do turn up to your traditional franchise and next door they've put a small showroom up with something different that you haven't seen before, that doesn't have too many onerous brand standards, that's not going to cost an awful lot of money to put in place, and you see something from a Chinese manufacturer or something that you've never heard of before, it'll pique the interest to go and have a look. And with the price points being as they are, they're quite an attractive option for some consumers. And they do seem to be making it fairly easy for dealership partners to sign up and put them in place fairly quickly. So I think, yes, online presence and reviews and social media influencers, the growth of social media influencers test driving brands that you've never heard of before is fairly huge. And that used in conjunction with making it easy to physically put the car there so that somebody can go and have a look at it or stumble across it when looking at something else. They're fairly agile, aren't they, in the way they're coming to market? And when you look at, as I say, you look at some of the brand standards that have been put in place over the years for some of the traditional manufacturers, and then the changes that have been made before any of that money's been recouped. And then you look at how easy some of the other the newer manufacturers are making it to set up shop. It makes it quite compelling, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you look at an example of MG, the way that it came back into the market, fairly modestly at first, but now it's completely stolen a march on affordable EVs. And you've got AM100 groups taking on not just one site, they're taking on 3, 4, 5 sites.
Yeah, and Aura, the funky cat, which I always tell my people who have company cars, that's your next company car. You look at how easy those brands make it to represent them. And if you have got franchises that maybe the new car volume isn't where it was before through various reasons, be it supply, be it agency, be it manufacturer requirements or ambition, if you do have a bit of showroom space that you can put one of these brands into, they do make it particularly easy to do that.
I suppose you did a big piece of work recently looking at some of those brands. I guess the challenge for the dealers now, albeit some of the investments are quite modest, but it's still okay. Who do you go for? There's such a choice.
Exactly. I've spoken to lots of senior execs and said that they've been working in the industry for 30 years and they don't know what's around the corner.
Yeah.
In the 2 years of growth and change that we've seen and about to see, the choice is going to be absolutely overwhelming. So does a dealer choose a pretty, quite a sort of very select range of EVs, or do they, put a whole sort of almost like a whole palette of cars from which to choose and work out what actually the customer likes when they're actually physically present?
Yeah.
Because I think the algorithms are going to be slightly limited in terms of Chinese EVs. Yeah. I think it's a physical play, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because we've never had new brands coming into the market with so many available marketing channels to them. So, we're looking at some old press ads on the table here. Now you're targeting Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. You're putting physically the cars in dealerships next to established brands to put them in front of. It's never been more interesting or exciting time to try and bring a new brand to market, is it?
Absolutely. I think one of those challenges, I guess, for dealers, particularly the smaller scale dealers, talking about social media channels, is can you have your fingers in all the pies, or do you have to literally pick the 2 or 3 that actually you can put the focus on? And I guess at least you can now measure your return on investment to some extent.
To a certain extent, yeah. And again, platforms like Meta make it easy. If you have a budget, you don't have to, try some here, some there. You can just say, well, you put it where it works, and the algorithms will figure out where people are interacting and put it where it works best. Obviously, the bigger the budget, the more channels you can cover, was always the way. Whether it was a half page, a full page, or a double page spread, it always came down to budget, didn't it? And the same is true in the modern world. Budget will always feature, but there's more ways of learning quickly, failing fast. Ian Godbold is always one for shouting about failing fast when he used to work at Cambria, and it's always about trying something, not being afraid to try something, throw some budget at it. If it works, great. Ramp up the budget. If it doesn't, great, turn it off or go and do something else, and not being afraid to try something and fail fast if you need to.
That's an interesting mindset. I think that's a challenging mindset for some businesses, isn't it, really?
But it's the only way you really unearth what works and what works well. You can either wait for everybody else to do it, and then you're in a crowded marketplace, or you can go first and see what works and be the first to get the success from it, accepting the fact that there will be some things along the way that don't work, and you just have to kind of accept that that's going to happen. But the learnings from all of that and being first to the one that does work should hopefully override that.
A lot of the early entrants in the EV market are choosing the dealership model, the franchise dealership model, because they see the positives that could come out from sort of that local representation. But perhaps it won't always, or very fast that might change into different business models, mightn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you look at Tesla, they're slightly different. It's their own dealer network. It's still their physical location, but they're in shopping centres as much as they are in out of town. Motor alleys. It's not a franchise dealer model, but it is a dealership model because they are physical locations, but you can buy it online as well. So it's something for everyone, isn't it? It's not trying to force the customer down one route only. It's trying to open it up to the customer to say, wherever you're comfortable, we'll be here for you. I mean, it's always been the kind of mantra we've taken with comms for dealers and the contact plans we do. Whether you want to reply to an email, reply to a text message, interact with a Facebook ad, whatever it is the customer is comfortable doing, rather than trying to force them down an online only route. Or force them into a call at a dealership. Pet hate of ours, somebody replies to an email for some information, they don't get a reply to the email, but they have 3 missed calls from the dealership.
Oh, I hate that too,
yeah. If it was easy for me to phone you, I would have phoned you. That's why I've replied to your email, so you can email me back. So it's about and the physical representation of the brand as well. Yes, you can show an awful lot online, but actually, until you get there and see it in the flesh, what does that shade of blue really pop at me when I see it in the flesh? What is it on the configurator? It looks a bit dull, but actually in the flesh it might look great. So people still want that physical confirmation that the decision they've made is the correct one. But it's easier to drill those decisions down to that one or that one now, rather than have to go in with 10 decisions to make. You go in with maybe 2 decisions to make now.
Absolutely. Interesting, just before we wrap up, Jeremy, on your thoughts on the kind of recent acquisition activity this year. The kind of we're in the process now putting together the AM100 to publish in sort of later in November. It's been a remarkable year for major activity, and we've seen the spotlight really shone on the UK by some big international companies.
Yeah. From our perspective, we're interested to see what that means to the systems landscape. Do we see new entrants coming across the pond where they work with the US parent companies and now they're being brought across to work with the UK company, or do we see it the other way around, such as with Pendragon and Pinewood? We're interested to see how that develops. You hear about the people like the Techions of this world who are making big headlines in the States, not so much over in Europe yet, but are they coming? Are there other US Canadian tech providers going to turn up in the UK market, or does it give UK tech providers an opportunity to get into overseas markets? So that's the interesting thing from our perspective. Yes, dealer consolidation has opportunities and threats for companies like mine. If we're working with an existing company who's making the acquisitions, that's an opportunity. If our existing clients become acquired, that becomes a threat. So we're keenly interested in seeing what happens, but we're intrigued about what it means for the tech landscape as well.
Absolutely, I think, and the trend seems to be. I've heard dealers say about you need to. We're now at a stage in the industry, the way it's evolved, that you need to build scale or kind of go to an extent. I don't know how true that is, because I think certainly the smaller groups, kind of 4, 5, 6 site groups, have been really showing their worth. And you look at their financials, and you can't knock them. A lot of them.
And in those size of groups, I guess it's easier to bring a culture and a personality through the business. And when price is maybe becoming less of a competitive issue, customer service, personality, locality may be something that differentiates now. That previously it was always, I'll buy from wherever the cheapest is. It's the same car, doesn't matter where it comes from, whether it's from a big group or whether it's from a small family-owned group. If the price is now the same, that customer service level and that local personality and feel of a business suddenly might be a positive again, and might actually make those businesses more viable, more profitable, and more desirable.
And potentially that becomes more of the messages, I guess, in their marketing. The customer service, the
people,
people in the business.
Yep.
A bugbear of mine has always been, I'll go onto a dealer's website and I just want to see a few names and a few faces of who I'm going to deal with.
Yeah.
So many of them in the About Us page, it's kind of 3 paragraphs of just corporate
Yeah.
sort of messages. And
Yeah.
it's like, come on, just at least give me a clue
Yeah.
who I can like kind of,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I can spot a face in the showroom
Yeah,
and
yeah.
go and say hello.
Yeah.
And I think that, as you say, that people bit and the experience bit is going to be more and more crucial going forward.
Absolutely. I mean, all of the messages we send contain sales exec name signed off by a sales manager or a head of business. In our introductions to service departments, if we can, we'll put links to the individual people in the service department, because that people buy from people. It's an old cliche, and even though tech makes it more likely that they'll just buy on a website, there still needs to be an element of trust. And if there is an element of trust, that's based around people and service and response times and the way in which the customer is looked after. If that isn't a differentiator, then again you can just click to buy from anything, but people still choose to buy from businesses based on the service that those businesses provide them with.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Well, we're going to have to wrap up there, I'm afraid, but do come along to AM Live on November the 9th, please, at Birmingham NEC. Hopefully we'll see you there and pop along to Jeremy's session and see what he's got to say. He's given us a few teasers today, but you won't get the full information until you come to the live event. Just quickly on AM Live as well, there's 4 streams this year. There's a digital stream, sales stream, after sales stream, and a strategy stream. And there's plenty to do for the day, so please do come along. And podcast-wise, if you like watching similar podcasts with senior execs in the industry, hit that subscribe button, or if you're on AM Online, if you search the AM News Show tag, then it'll give you all the previous podcasts that we've recorded. So thanks for watching us today.
He's the